So there's a lot of people that want to buy a house. What I find is they're always really confused on exactly where to start. So maybe they look a little bit online. They have these goals, these visions of what it is that they want. So this is going to be a video that's going to outline the steps that I would like you to consider taking to bring you some clarity and to get from the point of wanting to purchase a house to actually buying it. So you've chosen the agent, or maybe you're doing this on your own. You're out there looking at properties. At some point, you're going to see one that you like, and you're going to want to do the research to figure out if you're comfortable submitting an offer. What are the neighboring homes that are like this one selling for? Like, is the value there for what they're asking? Because some homes are overpriced. What you'll find is sometimes the house is underpriced as well. So what I'm saying is try to know what that number is. Ask your real estate agent, what do you think is the value of this house? We know what the list price is, but do we know what the value is? What I mean by that is, let's say a house is on the market for $500,000. It's been on the market for 3 weeks. Is it really worth $500,000? Is it actually worth $475,000? And it should have been priced at $475,000. Somebody that's great should be able to give you the context to know if you're going to be making a good offer. And sometimes it's the opposite. You know, sometimes you look at a home and it was listed 2 days ago and it's listed for $500,000 and it should have been listed for $525,000, but the seller intentionally, or the listing agent intentionally, wanted the home sold quickly, so they priced it competitively. Know the price, do the homework. Now you're getting ready to submit the offer. So if you are working with an agent to do this, make sure they communicate really well. They give you examples of their communications, not like in writing or anything, but ask them how it was when they spoke with the listing agent, because they're going to want to feel that listing agent out, figure out what the activity level's been like so that you can position your offer. If there's anything that you need to ask for about the house, let's say there's something about the house that concerns you that you want to address in the offer, make sure everything is written in up front. Make sure you cover your basis and you ask for, you know, an inspection period and things that are normal in whatever marketplace you're in to protect your interests. So these things are called contingencies. This is why I'd recommend that you actually just choose an agent, not try to do this on your own, because a lot can come up. Sometimes there's a house, if you're getting a loan, the home will need to be appraised. Sometimes that appraisal comes back, it's not for the price you paid, and now what? If you're by yourself, it's a little bit harder to navigate through that territory. So just make sure you understand the agreement that you're signing and that you know what happens for every step of the process after the offer's made. Let's say you got the offer accepted, you've done the inspection, everything is good there, you've negotiated that, the appraisal came back, it's at value of the home. So now you're going to go to that weird process that everybody calls kind of the escrow closing process. So what does that mean exactly? It means your loan is being finalized if you're getting a mortgage. If you're not getting a mortgage, it means that you just need to go sign the papers for the house and give them the money through the escrow company. What's actually occurring and what you'll want to be prepared for is just making sure that anything that was negotiated at the inspection is being completed, and that you put eyes on it. You go back to the house with your real estate agent, or without one if you're not working with one, and you make sure that whatever was agreed upon has been completed. You know, put eyes on it. Sometimes they'll send you invoices for work that was done. Don't just assume the work got done well. Go look at it and make sure it did. The other thing you're gonna wanna do is make sure that you start calling the utility companies. Find out who has the power and the water and sewer and all those things. Make sure you call those companies. Sometimes in different states, the escrow company kind of helps with this process and make sure they get transferred automatically, but just be proactive. Make sure that all those utilities are coming over into your name, so you're not using the water for the first month and it's actually still in the seller's name. Just make sure those things get transferred appropriately. When you're doing the rewalk too, make sure that the place has been cleaned properly as well. A lot of the times that happens where the seller just kind of moves out and the place isn't very clean. Comes up a lot, so check that out too. So a lot of misconceptions and a lot of confusion comes up during this process. A lot of times people think if they're closing on, say, a Thursday, that they're gonna go and sign some papers on that day and then they're gonna get the keys at the same time. And it's not typically how it works. Usually if you were going to be closing on this Thursday, right, you'd probably be signing your loan documents with the escrow company on Tuesday or Wednesday, typically a couple days before, sometimes even earlier than that. It's when your lender gets the documents to the escrow company that happens, that they call you. A lot of the times they won't call you until they get those documents, so it feels very last minute. But you're gonna go and sign those papers. You need to bring your state identification and that sort of thing. You're gonna be setting up a process where if they require funds from you for the closing, that you're gonna be doing potentially cashier's checks and wire transfers and stuff. So you're gonna be working all those things out with the escrow escrow company. So there's a lot going on, but it's all one step at a time. None of it's very overwhelming, but it all is right there in the escrow company office. And sometimes they will send somebody to you remotely to have you sign those papers. All right, so once those papers are signed, now it's just a waiting game. So if you're closing on Thursday, typically what's going to happen is that at some point on Thursday, you'll receive a call from the escrow company that you are officially the owners of the property. You'll work with your real estate agent to get access to the house. So if that is a Thursday, please don't set up anything to happen really on that day, because you technically aren't going to be the owner until maybe late in the day. So you might not be able to move in that day until really late or even at all. In our state, you have up until 9 p.m. the seller does. So sometimes that transfer is really, really late in the day. So what you're going to want to do is start organizing your plans for after that. Earlier on, rewinding back, make sure, because a lot of the times these closing dates in the last week or two, they can move from Thursday to Friday. So be really careful about setting up large moving plans until you've confirmed with your agent and with the lender that it's definitely going to close on time. I would make those plans, but I would purposely try to make them a couple of days later. And then if you get the keys on that day, you can go hang out for a little bit. But that whole moving thing, you'll want to be really careful with. A lot of people immediately will jump to price and they'll start looking at certain price ranges, but I want you to focus on what you need. Okay, so let's talk about that again. Yard, how much square footage? What's the minimum? What's the maximum you could see yourself living in? What are the amount of bedrooms that are needed? What are the office space, the additional space that's needed? Do you care if it's a 1-story or a 2-story? What type of neighborhood do you feel like you should live in? Is it one where you have neighbors? Is it one that's out on property? Start with the wish list, but then also have your non-negotiables and make those 2 lists. Have to have, would like to have. And that'll bring a lot of clarity to you. And it'll also bring a lot of clarity if you choose to work with a real estate agent to help you right away, and then give them that information. What comes up a lot too, especially if you have children, is the schools. So you want to identify exactly what schools are you're acceptable. What do you need those ratings to look like? Start researching what the schools look like and determine what it is that you're comfortable there. So step 2, this is probably the biggest step, is determining the budget. All right, so a lot of people start looking for houses and they have no idea. They're looking at homes that are $500,000 all the way up to $600,000, and they have no idea what the monthly payment is with the current interest rates right at that price. The problem with that is you can get really excited about something you don't afford, or you could underlook, meaning you might be looking at homes that are worth $500,000 and you're totally comfortable with a payment that's up to $650,000. So you want to start really honing in on the numbers and the budget. So if it's your first house, there's some certain loan qualifiers, right? Like you got to have a certain level of job history. It's typically 2 years in the same job. There's 4 different general loan programs. You want to determine where you fit in that path. So is it that you have money to put down? Again, are you comfortable with the monthly payments at the price you're searching for? And then are your credit scores good with whatever those programs are? So you really want to get a really clear picture of what it would be like to go out and shop. It really unlocks what that available homes in the inventory that are out there that you should really be focused on. The biggest mistake people make is they'll go onto websites online. A lot of these places, you're looking for homes and it'll give you a monthly payment, and a lot of the times that payment does not include the total payment. So you could be in a scenario where, based off of what's available there and the payment that it's spitting out at the computer for you, and you're looking at homes that don't include like the taxes, the insurance, you actually are better off too knowing what do the basic sets of utilities cost for the homes in the area. So once you have the monthly payment determined, what does it cost for the total payment? Meaning, like, if the house has electricity, gas, sewer, garbage, all those things, you kind of want to have an idea of what the budget looks like overall. So if you are getting to the point where you're serious about actually maybe going out and looking at houses, that would be the point where I would say get in line with a good lender, get your ducks in a row in terms of what the options are and what you're comfortable with before you take the effort to start looking at properties in detail to where you may want to make an offer, because until then you really have no idea. You're sort of flying blind. So step 3 is the search process. So there's a lot of information online. You can go to a lot of different places. You can go to the tech companies, you can go to Zillow and Redfin and all these places. I recommend starting in those on those websites if you are just dabbling in the idea of buying a house. But if you're serious and you have a goal in mind, meaning maybe you want a home in 6 months, this is when you need to start engaging with a local real estate agent. Maybe they can give you a lender referral of somebody that they've worked with. Ask them the question, how many times have you worked with this lender? Maybe get estimates if need be, and start really exploring that whole process because having those ducks in a row is important. So we're going to talk about what it looks like, and when you're ready, what the search process would look like after just the exploratory phase of just kind of browsing around online. So the benefit of working with an agent at that point and a lender at that point is you're going to get the hardcore facts. You're not going to be guessing anymore. You're not going to be using online calculators. You're not going to be looking at a home on Zillow and wondering how old the roof is and things like that. So the agent is going to be able to start getting you access to information that's not in those places. All right, so the moment you're within, say, 6 months of purchasing is when I would say you engage with those individuals and start that process. So you might ask why, right? So that's exactly the reason. They got the access to the information. So within a MLS listing with a real estate agent, not only do they have access to get you in the house, they have access to ask the right questions to the seller or the listing agent of a particular property. So let's say you want to investigate where the septic tank is on a house. You might be savvy enough to go on public records and find that information, but it's much easier to just engage with a good real estate agent. You're going to get the answers to every question about a property because now you're connected to that path of information. So what you're going to want to do is have them set you up with a search in their local MLS, as long as their website is connected to the local MLS. Maybe it's going to be through their website. And what you're going to want to do is have that search set up. Okay, so let's say you want a 4-bedroom house, and you want it to be around 500,000, and you want it to be at least 2,500 square feet, and you want it to be in these 3 cities. So they can get you connected to make sure that you get the listings that are going to be on the market that meet that criteria, and then you can get out and look at the existing homes that match those criteria. You're going to want to have them cast a wide net. So what I mean by that is if you can see yourself living in a 5-bedroom house, that would be your preference. Have them start the search at a 4-bedroom house, because it's often out there that a house is listed at 4 bedrooms. It actually has an extra space that you could use as a 5th bedroom. So the benefit to having the realtor search on the MLS for you, because let's be real, in a lot of your markets, the MLS and Zillow and Redfin all have the same data, right? They all have the same listings. But the benefit is just going to be that you can work in concert with them. So if there's a property that comes up that you're interested in, you have the ability to then reach out to them directly and say, hey, I'm interested in this property on your website or on Zillow or what have you, and they can start to investigate it for you. So with that being said, Zillow has a platform that allows you to connect to real estate agents. Redfin has a platform that allows you to connect to real estate agents. And what I would say to that is, if you know somebody that can personally vouch for a local real estate agent, or you start Googling agents and reading reviews, you want to just find somebody that you're aligned with at that level where you feel comfortable with them helping you. And real estate agents, lenders, kind of a dime a dozen, to be honest. You want to interview them. You want to have somebody that is an advocate, that has experience, but more importantly, like, you have a similar goal in mind. So when you speak with them, you feel really comfortable with what they have to say. You don't feel like they're trying to sell you. You feel like they have your best interest in mind, and that they're not just trying to get a loan done or a commission from you. So some of the questions I'd be asking is, how many homes? I mean, it's a little awkward, right, to ask people this, but maybe you can do it a little bit kind of under the radar. But like, find out how many homes they've sold. Find out if they work full time. There's a lot of real estate agents that don't work full time. And so are you going to be calling them when they're at their other job and they can't help you out, or they can't go show you the property? If you're comfortable with it, what I'm saying is find a way to ask those questions, because you deserve professional representation, somebody that's going to go to bat for you, somebody that has negotiation skills and can get you the house that you deserve to have. So those are the 6 steps you need to know. If you want to learn a little bit more in depth, I did another video on our channel, Buying a Home, What You Must Know. Also, if you are looking at maybe moving to Olympia, Washington, anywhere in Washington, that channel has the pros and cons, the neighborhoods, the restaurants, what it's like to live here. Do me a favor, subscribe and check it out.